Hey everyone, welcome to Keeping It Real. I'm Nikki Shelton and I'm with Carrie today. Carrie, how's it going today?
Doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I got new contacts and I had old contacts with me or something. I don't know what happened. And anyway, it came a part of my eye, I guess, and so I didn't get all of it out or something. I don't know. It was really strange. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it was a little crazy. So and I just did something to my screen that I have no clue what I did. So anyway, my eye is completely red today. It's really insane. So I'm hoping I can make this happen today.
That's the worst. When your eye hurts, it affects more than you think.
Yes. And I just totally messed up my screen. There we go. Okay, everything's better. Perfect. I can see again, at least somewhat. Okay. So we are going to be talking about a little bit about family history and how if you are a certain nationality, you might be able to get some great benefits with a new type of loan that's been approved in the bill. Am I understanding that correctly? I'm hoping I got that correct.
Yes, yes. And the Washington State Housing and Finance Commission rolled out a program last year in July that is definitely helping those disadvantaged homeowners from the past be able to purchase today. So I'm excited to share more about it. We touched on it a little bit before, but we'll just remind everybody that it's out there.
We did because everybody's been talking about it recently. It's like, I mean, we talked about it, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. I mean, it's been a while since I know we talked about it, and I had to go back and review notes and going, oh yeah, I remember it now. So
yeah, and it's actually right around the time it rolled out. We wanted everybody to know about it because it was such an exciting thing to learn about.
It is. And so let's go ahead and get started. So there you go. Yes, it did. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to try to hopefully pull up notes and hopefully they're still here and I can kind of follow along because it's like I can't see, just so you guys all know. So Carrie, you might really help me out today, okay? Because
that is okay. Yeah.
I'm working on a tiny computer with no mouse and it's been like really challenging for me today. So anyway, so can your family history help you buy a home today? It really can actually. So let's talk about what we're doing. So we're kind of making history, and this is only in Washington State, if I'm understanding this correctly. Is that right? I mean, it's not.
It's not countrywide. I know it's been something that a lot of states have been trying to pass for a long time. It's a disparagement act. So yeah.
Right. So hopefully we'll keep moving forward on this because I do think it's a good idea because well, we'll keep talking about it and then I guess we'll go back to there. So it's addressing past racial housing discrimination. So I don't do that. And I mean, I try to treat everybody as fairly as, as I'm humanly possible. And I know Carrie's like that, but in the past, it hasn't always been like that. I mean, there were different practices in real estate, even like steering or redlining. And there were different practices that you absolutely, as a real estate professional, are not allowed to do. And so in the past, for instance, what would happen, and I'm just going to use this very blatantly and very black and white, I guess is a good way to put it. But, if you were a Black person and you wanted to buy in a white neighborhood, you might have a real estate person who would not show you it because you don't fit in. Or you might try to get a loan and you can't get a loan because of your color, your skin. So there was a lot of discrimination. I mean, I don't see it as much today, and I'm very thankful that because I really don't believe that that's how life should be on so many different levels and across so many different areas and stuff like that. But in the past it happened. And so one of the things, like I don't know who all knows this, but my mother-in-law was Japanese, and I don't think she was necessarily affected by this. I mean, I don't think she was here when this was happening, but over on Bainbridge, there was actually the house people from Japan over there to live for a short period of time or a period of time because they didn't trust Japanese because we were in a war with them or whatever. So there was a lot of stuff that went on in the United States, many years ago. And it's not perfect today either. I'm not saying that either. I just know I try my hardest, and I know Carrie, I know her as a person, and I know that she's very, she tries to treat everyone as fairly as possible. but it hasn't always been like that. And so I think this is a great thing. It kind of helps, some of the people who were held back for those reasons to have an advantage now. And so that's kind of what this bill is about. Do you want to add anything to that? Because I know I just said a whole lot and I probably was too blunt and too forward about everything about how I feel, but there you go.
No,
You
and
got
personal
me.
feelings, we're very relational, and that's what we bring into our business with us. The good thing is, since not everybody is that way, there are laws that were put into place that fight against that discrimination. Redlining was a huge thing, like you said. If you didn't fit within a demographic, then you were not shown houses, and they gave excuses why people couldn't be accepted for credit. It was never, they never said it was because of the color of your skin. They would just find something to make sure that they were not approved for a loan. And so it went, finally in 1976, they passed something called the Fair Housing Act. And that is really what helped to level the scales a little bit. Of course, it took some transition, but that's where the start was.
Right. Okay. So this is a helps with new, like, first-time home buyers. This is a big program. There's definitely down payment assistance programs out there for everyone. This one is a little different, though. It's a down payment assistance program. So if you know anything about down payment assistance program, and you can always, we've talked about this before on 2 different occasions. I know that we've had down payment assistance, and I know that we've talked about the Covenant Act, but you can go back and check those. But this is just, it's similar to that. It's just there's some added benefits. So let's go ahead and talk about the impacted families and what happens. And this, again, is kind of a new thing. So again, I can't read this list. Carrie, maybe you can read this for me, but this is for first-time homebuyers. And first-time homebuyers is kind of a weird term because people think, oh, like, I've owned a home for 20 years, so I'm not a first-time homebuyer. If you have owned a home and it's been over 3 years since you bought or purchased a home, I guess is the same.
Well, you'd have to sell your first home first. So if you rented,
but then you would be a first-time home buyer, right?
Yeah.
There are income limitations, just like with the down payment assistance program, and there's credit scores and that kind of stuff. A lot of that is still the same. It's uniform across the board, at least now, right? But if you had family who was here and you're in one of these classes, and Carrie, I'm going to let you go and read that just because I can't see it and my screen's covered. I can try here because I've got some other little notes from this.
Okay. So if your family lived in Washington before April 1968, you don't always know this, but there are people at Washington State Housing and Finance Commission that are trained to look things up like this, census records and different things like that. So if you have a hard time figuring out and documenting if you have
we'll get to that, and we're going to get to that.
But so if you were Black, Hispanic, Native American, Pacific Islander, Korean, Asian Indian, Alaska Native, or a Native Hawaiian, this would apply to you.
You would qualify, or you might qualify. And we're going to talk about how, and Carrie kind of got into that a little bit, on what kind of documentation you need to prove that. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about some of the limits. So this is a zero interest loan. It's kind of like your down payment assistance loan. So if you maybe bought a house before and you used down payment assistance, this is similar to it in the respect that it's a 0% own, and you don't have to pay that loan back until you sell your home. So that's kind of one of exactly.
You can refinance your house as well. Yeah. And the goal is to have people put up to 20% down. And that's why they give a limit up to 150,000, because the goal is to have you put 20% down so that you avoid having mortgage insurance, which really dramatically helps when it comes to a housing payment. So that's huge, being able to have 20% down plus your closing costs covered.
Yeah, it really would be, because it saves a lot of money on your monthly payments. In Kitsap County, it's $119,700, and different areas, like different counties, have different amounts. And I'm actually going to go ahead.
Actually, the area median income, just to clarify, $119,700 is the area median income. So that's not the limit on how much you can get for the down payment. That just says if you live in Kitsap County, you cannot make more than $119,700 in order to qualify for this program. That's a lot of money. So there's a lot of people that fall into that category.
So, it's very helpful. And you do have to do a home buyers class, just like you do with the down payment assistance program. And you have to use commission trained lenders. So just so that was that out there too. At the bottom of the screen, you guys, just so if you're seeing that, I did put the actual government website so you can go in there and look up, because we're just kind of like touching on several of the topics of it, but there's a lot more detailed information, explains a lot more. There's a lot more information on it, so that you can go to as well. Okay. So Carrie, let's see here. So if you do have questions besides that, you can also call their 800 or 877 number, 800 number, I always call it. And they can connect you with housing counselors and that can help you and help you figure out what you're going to need to do that, like Carrie mentioned. And these are some of the things that you have to be doing. So you have to prove that you've had ancestors that live in Washington before April 6th or April of 1968. And these are the documents that you can have. And there's a huge list, but this is, I try to put as many of them on there as I can. You can use like newspaper clippings as well. You can use your employer stuff. You got birth certificates, death certificate, obituaries. I mean, there's all kinds of documents that you can use. And at the housing authority thing, they can definitely assist you on what you might need, or what you can use to help prove that you had family here during that time that you might qualify for this loan. So it's super cool. How is it funded? So everyone, my understanding, that buys a home, there's a $100 recording fee that they're adding to the cost of when you buy the home that will go to fund this. This started in January 1st of 2024, 1924. Yeah, 2024. What else can we add to that, Carrie?
Well, and was a big thing, is that people were wondering why their recording charges went up. And this is exactly why.
Yep.
There is it costs money to fund these programs. And because of how bad it was that people were discouraged to purchase homes and they were not able to, this is an opportunity for people that, to live that American dream, to be able to have it. So to me, $100 is a small price to pay to kind of make up for some of the ways that people were treated in the past. So yes, it adds another $100, but it could have been 1,000.
Everything in Washington's going up. Why not that too?
It is. But this is one of the things that I wouldn't mind being able to pay that extra $100 for, because
when you're buying and you're spending that much money, $100 really is just a little drop in the bucket. It really is not that big of a deal. So
you took the words right out of my mouth. That's what I'm thinking, is when it comes to your closing costs and the difference between $100, it might not make that big of a difference.
But if it helps somebody get into a home that wasn't able to before, or that, was discriminated against, it's definitely worth it. So there's that. Okay. So really the focus was on those who were harmed by the state sanctioned housing discrimination. So that's really what this is going to try to help that. They've done a bunch of studies and research on this, and they have to come up with, I think the first reports at the end of December on how this is working, and it's kind of an evolving process. This is phase one. They might be adding more minority groups to this. Carrie, I have no idea what the rest of that says.
It's basically just saying that this is based on historical impact and current ownership disparities, because like we said, although there are laws that govern that type of behavior, people still try to find ways around it, just because, they're bad people, I guess. I don't understand what the problem would be with having someone live in a certain neighborhood or deny somebody credit just because of the color of their skin. It makes no sense to me, but I don't have the same way of thinking that everybody else does. Yeah. This is just a way to try to improve the way that people have been discriminated for in the past.
So this is really for some low to moderate income households, people who've been previously discriminated against, certain areas, consensus tracks that align with the program's equality or equity goals. So that's really who they're trying to help, this group get into homes. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a great thing that they're doing.
I agree.
And that's really all I got. Carrie, did you have anything to add to that? I know that there's credit scores. I think credit scores, people are going to ask about that. I think they're in the 600s.
620 is still the minimum.
620. Okay.
And basically you have to fall within the same guidelines of a conventional loan, FHA. So whatever program you're going for, you do have to fit into those guidelines, and you go through the same pre-approval process that
Yeah.
you would go through with your lender. It's always good, though, to first reach out to the Washington State Housing and Finance Commission first to see if this is a product that you are eligible for. And that way, you've already done your homework and you can just jump into the pre approval and get ready to go out shopping. It's going to give people so much more buying power to be able to have 20% down. And that's the thing that is really exciting for me is people that had doubts about whether or not they could ever own a home. This is going to open up a whole new world and put them in a different bracket for home prices of homes that they're looking at.
Right. Because coming up with that down payment is so expensive sometimes. I mean, it's like you're saving and you've got closing costs and your brokerage fee sometimes. And so this just really helps kind of get rid of some of those costs and, helps you negotiate some more too. So,
well, if you think
yeah.
about it, when you look at the fact that it's $150,000 total, before if you were pre-approved for something at 300,000, I mean, they're going to, of course, account for some closing costs as well. So I would say take off about $13,000 for that, but that puts you up over $400,000 now that you're looking at. You're looking at more like a 430 or 435 house, and that's a huge gap that is being filled. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. So if we can help you, make sure you reach out. You can get our contact information there, and we will see you same time, same place next week. Have a great time, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.